Happy Monday! Today we're going to be talking about clearing space and not just actually cleaning, but what to do when your offers, when your business, when you need a little extra clearing, because sometimes we just need that. And that's okay. There's no shame to that. Maybe something feels a little off. Maybe something just feels stagnant. Maybe you're running something you haven't run in a while, or you haven't been taking in new clients for a while for whatever reason. Maybe you haven't launched in a while. Maybe you're having trouble selling. There's basically no wrong time to do a clearing. And if it's like, to me, it's like the when in doubt, just clear things. Very similar to like when in doubt, just light a vanilla candle or light a white candle. That has always kind of been my mantra. I probably say this way too much, but when in doubt, just go to this. So we're going to talk about some of the processes I like to go through. There's tons of different ways to clear, but we're going to go through some of my favorites. I typically start with clearing physical space because that's what's around us all the time, clearing ourselves, then clearing our business and potentially offers. And that way you're shifting things on all levels. And if one of those particular levels is what's causing the issue, you're going to get it. And you're also going to get all of them at the same time. Okay. So let's start with physical space. And if you know me, I don't like to clean. Like, that's just a universal law. Kristen does not like to clean. But this is a good place to start because it's what's around you the most. Easy thing that I like to do is when I need something to shift is I just look at my desk because I'm here all the time and I'm like, what could I make a little prettier? Or what would feel better, neater? And like, so I'll throw myself under the bus right now. Like for me right now, I have some jewelry sitting out over here that I could just hang on the hook over there. My shell with my sage and such got knocked over, so all of that needs to somehow get swept back into the shell. Not entirely sure. I have oils out that could go away. Like there are plenty of really quickly little things that I could do to shift some energy. And then I could, like clean the pyramids. I do that typically weekly, but I could clear my client pyramids with, I don't have it nearby, but like with the oil or with a, wash, whatever. So many things you can do. Just look around and see what gets your attention and what feels like it needs a little bit of a shift. You can also start with clutter because that does hold energy, hold emotions, and that's going to start to shift things. After that, I would use sage or Palo Santo. Some people believe that you only use sage when you're clearing and you use Palo when you're raising the energy. For me, Palo feels like it clears as well, but there's a catch to this. So I feel like most of us are taught to just go around like waving a stick and like burning it and la da 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 da, and that's gonna do the whole thing. It's not. It's just not. So when you use something like a smudge stick or sage, or I don't really want to call it smudge stick, but you guys know what I mean, or Palo, that's bringing the energy of that space back to neutral, which is great. But if you don't have really clear intentions and boundaries, whatever was just there can come right back in. That's not exactly what we want. So I always create a boundary. I state my intentions, like what I'm clearing, what I'm calling in, like what's filling the void. That it's energy of only the highest vibration, that it's only for my highest good, that my angels approve of it. Lately, it's been very specific with like, no spirits, no guides besides the ones I already know, like just getting really hammered down so that I know what's in my space and I know what energy's here. I also like to use oils in the regular to just diffusing them to clear their space. I do this more often in the other areas of my house because it's less like sagey. There isn't that heavy smoky smell that hangs out for a while, and especially if you have guests, we can use a more subtle approach. So you can use rosemary. Be careful if you have small children. If your nose is sensitive, you don't want to use a ton. Same thing with oregano and sage. There's even Palo Santo oil. I typically go for like a frankincense and myrrh mixture. Sometimes I use things with like jasmine just because that scent feels very high vibe to me. You can feel like what reacts the highest with your energy. Frankincense is always my go-to since that is, to me, the oil that I have the most tangible reaction to with, if I'm putting it on from the companies that I like, it's a very spiritual moment, and it's like, I feel this. Whatever that oil is for you, use that one. And as I've mentioned, when in doubt, you can use vanilla extract. These things are around. Other things that you could do, I don't even know if I think it's still around. I used to have a crystal bowl app on my phone from, I don't remember what they're called now. They used to be Ocean House Media. I think they're like Beauty Everywhere now. I haven't used that one in a while, but I do sometimes use YouTube videos of crystal bowls. It's gone at the moment, but I also use bells and just ring bells in every corner of the room. If you don't have either of those or the bowl's not resonating, you can just clap in all the corners of the room. And I would do it, either counterclockwise or clockwise, depending on what you're calling in. But just start clapping. And you may notice when you get into like the corners that there's an area where it feels a little heavier or the sound changes. And that means you're going to want to continue it a little more. But you can just clap and that's enough. I keep crystals in my office and, every room in the house to raise the energy. You do have to clean them regularly. If you're not going to cleanse them, just go to selenite and citrine because they're going to be the best choices. I actually have bars of selenite over every single one of my windows and doors in the house because I got tired of people's energy coming in with them. And I was like, nope, if you're coming in, I'm sweeping your energy as you do, because why not? I don't need their stuff in my house. I also have a lot of amethyst, especially in the kids' room, since it's high vibe, but it does, I don't know, it's a little bit of protection, spiritual protection. I find that his amethyst needs clearing a little more than normal, and it could be our house. There's interesting energy in that room, whatever. Clear quartz, always a favorite. I have tons of that in the office. And those are generally what I have around to make sure things stay at a nice vibration. In the living room, I have celestite, like a big old hunk, and that is a recent favorite. If you're not sure, go to selenite and citrine and start there and just see what resonates. Okay, and so the next thing, I haven't done it in a while and I actually should. And this is something that my grandma and great grandma used to do pretty regularly. And especially in the fall, so like October through February-ish. And then it was like, when needed, like you would smell it periodically. But essentially you just take a pot, put it on your stove, pour some cider in. You could probably use apple juice. I've used red wine in a pinch. You're essentially making liquid potpourri, but with intention. And so you add 2 cinnamon sticks. If you don't have cinnamon sticks, you can just add some cinnamon powder. I don't measure this stuff, so I don't have measurements. You could add lemon, orange zest or orange peel, cloves, nutmeg. I typically just go for a few of those. You can also add vanilla. And as you're stirring, you want to set your intentions of what you're releasing and what you're pulling in. Most of those spices that I just named are also wealth spices. So it's not just a clearing, but it's like here's what we're calling in. These are what our new intentions are. This is what we're bringing to us. And just be really clear what your intentions are with that. On a similar note, you can do like a Better Business floor wash. Great if you have wood floors. If you have carpet, you could do something sort of similar and just tweak it, or you can just do the front door. You can buy mixes for these things. I sometimes buy like some of the like bluing sprays, but it's easy enough to make yourself. Get a tablespoon of basil, fresh or dried, doesn't really matter. Pour some boiling water over it, just like make a tea. If you have holy water or like some salted water that you've set intentions for, moon charged water or Florida water, great. If you don't, oh well. Let it steep, let it get going. It should, like the basil should look kind of like money floating because basil represents money. Yay! Of course, after it's steeped, we're going to want to strain it because we don't want to wash the floor with basil leaves. That seems a little counterproductive there. You can add in other things if you want, like apple cider vinegar or white vinegar. If you're dumping it in like a big bucket, I would add at least a couple tablespoons of, I usually do apple cider vinegar, so it's more like thieves vinegar, but you could use regular. You could add in lemon or red brick dust to have a boundary of protection. You could add in a very, very small amount of brown sugar to sweeten the universe to your desires. You could add cinnamon for wealth. I typically add a couple crystals and just let it sit in the bucket and add in some, good vibes. Typically I go clear quartz or smoky quartz. And I usually start with the front door, like the front stoop, I guess is what the word is, so that we're making a path for money to actually come in. And if you have like a porch or a deck, I would do that. Our porch is in the back, so I start with just a little one in the front. And you set your intentions of what can cross, what's coming in, and like do the whole path to wherever you work. And so, bring it to your office, to your desk, to your floor, whatever you can. If you have carpet, you could just do the baseboards. You can do your windows, legs of your desk, file cabinet, like whatever you can, whatever you feel really called to. And if you have any statues or altars, you could use a little there too, just to give it a little bit of oomph. If you have a statue, you may want to light a candle or leave an offering to thank whoever, or to thank the universe for providing for us. And then I'd like to do as much of that other pieces of the house, at least the kitchen and the living room, because we typically spend the most time there. And because the kitchen is the heart of the house, why not have that hooked up with abundance? And typically you would just toss the rest out the back door. You can do what you want. Trust your gut on what feels good. After you've cleansed space, you're going to want to cleanse yourself. You can take a bath, shower, normal stuff. Ideally a bath, but sometimes it doesn't work. I kind of hate my bathtub, so I don't do a ton of baths. If you're doing a bath, put as much salt in as you can. It can be regular salt. It can be Epsom salt. It can be fancy salt. If you have black salt, you can throw that in. If you have red brick dust, you could throw that in. And if you're doing a shower, I would just make a really quick salt scrub or sugar scrub, probably a little bit of both just to make it easier. Just blend in some coconut oil or olive oil with salt and sugar and call it a day and scrub yourself down with it. And either way, we're going to do a little clearing in the bath or in the shower and a little visualization. So we're just going to assume you're in the bathtub sitting down because it's easier. If you're showering, same premise. You picture a spot opening up in the very back of you where your root chakra is. And it's going to start as a really small, maybe even a pinpoint, and then it just expands. And I want you to notice, how big does it get, for one? And you're going to see everything that's stagnant and not supposed to be within you just coming out of you as a black liquid. That could be other people's energy. That could be beliefs, whatever it is. Just see it flowing on out of you, and it's coming out of you, and it's going towards the drain. And obviously you're going to do this at the end of your shower so that you want it to literally go down the drain or into the bath. And then once it's all clear, I like to rub a little salt or a little oil on that spot to clear it a little bit more. Thieves, on guard, that sort of thing, good. Frankincense, always good. You can even make your own 4 Thieves vinegar wash to help clear. I mentioned this a few moments ago, but this is where the thieves originally came from, and it was during the plague. Traditionally, it says that if you drink it and cleaned your house with it, you did not get the plague. I cannot speak to that, but it is scientifically proven to be very good. If you're making your own, grab a bottle of some apple cider vinegar, pour it, into whatever you're mixing in, and then traditionally you would add 4 herbs. The most traditional, I believe, were black pepper, rosemary, garlic, and lavender. But you can also use, sage, oregano, probably anything that feels very protective. I typically go down those routes. You can even Google to see other people's renditions. I let it sit for 2 weeks, kind of like shaking every day, put it in a dark spot, and then use it. Besides using it on myself, I also use it on, I'm pointing like you can see. I also use it on all the doorknobs in my house. So it's like, as you come in, you get clear, but also it clears energy that other people are bringing in. Because like I said, we don't want that. But anyway, so you could use that on your back to seal off that spot, make sure nothing else is coming in. And I would also seal it off with white light or ask Archangel Michael to seal it off for you. And you can then pour a little down the drain so that you seal your drain off so nothing else can come in. If you're still in the bath or you're running a new one, you could taste some warm honey and soak that in and use it as an attraction bath. We taste it first so the universe knows that it's safe. There are some particular like deities and spirits who prefer that you taste things. I think it's just being polite. They know it's not poisoned if you're taking it. So you taste it, put some in the bath, and then really like just use the whole time to think about all of the things that you want to be attracted to you. So all of the things that are now attracted to you. And it can be things like more clients flock to me. I always receive X amount of income, whatever it is. I do want you to be really clear on your intentions and think of yourself as like the flower calling in the honeybee, and the flower just has to be a flower. It just has to do its thing. Maybe it has some intentions about what kind of honeybee it wants to come like rub up on, but you know, the flower's just a flower. It's just there being it, and the honeybee comes. So you can just rinse that off when you're done. If you're in the shower, you could probably do the same thing and just rub a little honey on and see everything coming to you. I have not done it in the shower, but I believe it would work just the same way. And it's the intention that really matters anyway. Okay, so after you've cleared your space, yourself, then it's time for you, let's just say, let's clear your offer or like whatever you're launching. I think it's easier to do it offer by offer than try to attack the whole business. So that way you can see if it's one thing that is feeling a little funny. So I like to do this by visualizing a pyramid. And I see them like Egyptian pyramids, not like my client pyramids. But the pyramid is like the one thing, the offer, the product, whatever it is, the main thing that I'm getting people to. And, you know, I may see a little row of them for different things that I have, but one pyramid is one thing. And as I'm focused on it, then I see black smoke rising out of the top, and I'm just kind of watching to see like what's coming, how much, where it's going, but knowing that everything that's stuck or stagnant, any fears, any doubts, all of that's coming up. And might not even be yours. It could be like your team members' stuff that's just kind of like hung on. It could be, you know, somebody in your mastermind or in your accountability group that has their own stuff that kind of like related to it. It could be something you picked up from a client or a family member, you know, anything that's just hindering the process or making, you know, something feel a little unsure or making the energy not know where to go. And if it seems like it's a little, I don't have the word I want, but if it seems like it needs a little more help, then you can picture yourself like climbing down into the pyramid or opening up a door, and inside there's a fire pit. Very center, pyramid, fire pit. You can see, what does that fire pit look like? What do you need to throw in it? What are you throwing in it? If you need to like very intentionally throw things in, you can do that too. Often what's there is going to give you a lot of insight into what needs to change. You can look at like how many seats are there. It's kind of like when we tap into the soul of our business, it's like, oh, maybe what's stagnant is I've been thinking it's only for 4 people, and I look around and there's like seats for 12, or there's like stadium seats. That alone can be enough to shift things. If you do energy work, if you do Reiki, you can also do it here, so you're clearing it from the inside out. And then we just want to look at the smoke that's coming out, see if it creates a shape, just pay attention to it, and walk around the pyramid, see yourself putting down some sort of protective boundary, powder, oil, like light bubble, whatever you do. So we're not just clearing, but we're protecting and we're filling everything with positive input. And finally, my last, you guys have heard me talk about pendulums. Mine's actually not within reach because I backed it up the other day. So I'm gonna grab that one now because it's not for me. It's a client's and I'm not supposed to touch it apparently. Okay. Well, if you don't have time for anything else, if you want to do something fast, grab a pendulum. Doesn't even have to be a pendulum. It can be, do I have one? Yes. It can be, this one's broken, so ignore that fact. But it can just be like a necklace. Traditionally, you would put a ring on a chain and that would be enough. I like some sort of pendant. Sometimes I like pendants better than I like actual pendulums, and that's okay. We go with it. So we always start by asking, show me yes, show me no, show me I don't know. Am I allowed to ask questions? I'm going to start with that because if the same pendulum is always giving you yes in one direction and suddenly it switches, something's going on. So that can mean you're not clear enough to do clearings. It could mean something else is affecting it, which could be a spirit, it could be an incarnate energy, it could be whatever. It might just be you're not ready. You just need to know so that you can tackle and deal with it accordingly. I like to check with is there anything that needs to be cleared around this launch or around my business? And then you can get more specific, are there fears that need to be cleared? Are there doubts? Is there energy? Is there energy from this person? You can go through your chakras one by one. You should probably do this on the regular. Is there anything that needs to be cleared from this chakra for this launch? Is there anything that needs to be cleared from the chakra? Okay, can I clear it now? You can go through team members and people who are around you often. And then, my favorite thing. So I would journal first and ask yourself, what do you think is keeping this offer, product, whatever, stagnant? What is preventing sales? And then narrow it down to each thing being 1 or 2, 3 words maybe. And then you write them in a circle with enough space around them so that you can tell where the pendulum lands. We're making a dowsing board essentially. And, so say it's, I'm not visible enough. So it would just be visibility here, or price too high, price too low, not ready yet, energy of me, energy of the offer, whatever it is. And we want to put the pendulum in the middle of the circle and just, check it first and then ask it, what is the issue? And just see what it lands on. It may land on, between 2 words, and that means we need to address both of them. And wherever it goes, we need to ask, can we clear that energy with the pendulum? Because if we can just clear it out, why not? If you can't, there's going to have to be more action that you have to take to clear it. And it may sometimes be yeah, I can clear it, but not all the way. That's okay too. So for me, I notice that it tends to start off in a really small circle, tight directly over the word while it's clearing. And then when it's done, it starts expanding outwards. And then when it's fully done, I get the pendulum wobble, or sometimes it reverses. And then if it falls between words, I do it for both. And then once I've done that, I come back and check again because it may not have cleared everything. It's only going to show you that first, the most important thing or the most important 2 things. So it's oh, if I cleared these 2 things, but there's still more, I want to go clear the rest if there's still stuff there. It doesn't have to take long. It can be a really easy way to do. So those are my favorites. There's a million ways to clear energy, but these are where to start and where to experiment. If you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling stagnant, if you want to shift things, if you want to get better momentum, there's where to go. So if you guessed in the homework, we're going to be clearing. So I can't wait to hear all about it. Bye.